Alright, I'm gonna make a video on how I use my Blockade Runner for hauling items from Jita Trading Hub to null-sec in a safe way and to minimize the risk of losing your ships. So this video will just be a few tips and tricks from my end, and there is many ways on how to use a Blockade Runner or hauling items in general. You might think that this way is not a good way. You might like it either way. This is how I do it. Um, in EVE Online, you can make ISK in many different ways, be it industry, ratting, trading, mining, or even piracy, just to name a few examples. And you can make a lot of ISK doing those activities. But one thing that can really make you lose ISK or not make as much ISK as you should, and that is losing ships. And in EVE, you will always lose ships in EVE. It's inevitable, but there are some ways to minimize that risk of losing a ship. And if you live in null-sec, you probably have a good market out there, and you don't need to go to Jita that often, but it's gonna be a time where you're gonna need to go to Jita anyway to buy something or sell something, etc. And for that, you're gonna need to haul stuff. And I'm sitting in a crane. It's a Caldari Blockade Runner. It's a Tech 2 Teira. And it's not to be confused with the Bustard, which is the Deep Space Transport or the DST. I wouldn't recommend using those for hauling between null-sec and Jita. And the reason for that is um, it's much safer to just use a Blockade Runner if you're going to haul smaller amounts. And if you need to move bigger amounts and you can put a lot more stuff in a DST, then it's just better to just use a jump freighter for that anyway. So I would recommend any time of the day quick hauling in a Blockade Runner. And I'm using the crane. But you can also use a Viator or ProRaider, for example. It's the Galente and Amari ones, and I think the Prowler is the Minmatar one. Uh, so, first of all, here's my fit. The most important thing with a Blockade Runner is to have a covert ops cloaking device. This is the big pro of using a Blockade Runner. You can fit a covert ops cloaking device. That means that you can uh, move and warp while you are cloaked, and that is very important because you cannot fight from crane. So whenever you see hostiles, this will be your best tool of staying hidden. Then interdiction nullifier, also very important to use in nullsec. You activate this before you start warping. Um, and if there are any bubbles, warp disruptors, it will ignore it. So you'll pass the bubble and you will not get stuck in a bubble. It has a cooldown though, so use it carefully. And then you can put up different shield amplifiers. Really, a Blockade Runner, you're not supposed to get caught in this, and if you get caught, you're dead anyway. So here, whatever you put here is fine, as well as expanded cargo hold, or if you want to have the inertia stabilizer to get in warp quicker. It all depends what you're doing. Maybe you need the extra cargo hold, then you'll fit these. Maybe you don't, then you can fit the inertia stabilizers to get in warp quicker. Either way, the Blockade Runner gets into warp really quick, anyhow, and it's very hard to catch if you use it properly. And yeah, and the MWD, micro warp drive, is also very important to have for gate crashing, for example. If you get caught in a gate camp or in a sticky situation, you can use that as a resort to get away. But ultimately, it's the covert ops cloaking device and the interdiction nullifier, which will be the two modules that will keep you alive. So I'm in Jita right now, and I'm gonna move to null-sec. I don't think I got anything in this crane, so I might might as well put 10 Vespas and 5 warriors just to have something symbolically. So the first thing you do before you undock, you set your destination. I'll set mine. And you will get your route here up in the left corner and all the systems you're gonna pass until you reach your final destination. In my case, it's location in Cloud Ring. And you have the A button just to the left of the route text. So when you're traveling and when you're living in null-sec, you're using prefer shorter. Your corporation or alliance probably have jump gates, so you include that in your route. And then I have a route avoidance list. There's a few stations, a few systems which should be avoided. Elsavoinan, Tama, and Abazan, specifically Abazan and Tama. These are regularly gate camped, and avoid to jump into these systems at any time. Many times there's a lot of people there that will be clustered around the Stargate, making you unable to cloak up. They will have sensor boosters for fast targeting, and you're pretty much ganked at that point. So I would recommend, if you want to avoid any system, Tama and Abazan would be the systems I would recommend anybody to avoid. So let's see my route here. I'm gonna use another route than this one, so I'm gonna avoid this system quickly. I'm gonna use fewer jumps in high sec, so when the color gets red to pinkish purple, that's when the security systems are below 0.5, which are yellow systems. Alright, I'm gonna undock, and I'm gonna tell you right away when you undock from Jita how I do to avoid getting sniped by gankers that can sit on top of the trading hub. I have a bookmark, instantly undock. The reason for it is that I can quickly leave um, the undock because there's a lot of people there that are camping and shooting haulers, especially if you're hauling a lot of stuff. The good thing with a Blockade Runner is that they cannot scan your cargo, but that doesn't make you less of a target. As a matter of fact, you're going to be a highly valued target because they don't know. It's a gamble. Either you're hauling expensive stuff or nothing, but a lot of gankers will take that risk. So I'm going to begin with cloaking up. My next system is Sobaseki. It's still high sec. I'm going to align, and this is my overview. I have my locations in a small box here with all the bookmarks listed. It's a very good thing to have, so you have quick access to your bookmarks. I have my directional scanner to the left. Right now I'm in Jita, so the directional scanner isn't that much needed. Up in the right corner here and all the way down from top to bottom, I got the local chat with all the names compressed. I can see who is in local. I cannot see the chat, but I'm not using local chat anyway, so I'm not really bothered by that. Um, the most important thing is that you can see how many people are in local, and that's going to be even more important when you're entering low-sec and null-sec. Um, all right, so I'm gonna head on and warp. It's more desirable to have a scout that scouts the systems ahead, but I'm gonna do this as a solo hauler, so I'm not gonna use any scouts whatsoever. I make a quick check of my route. It's the route I want to use, and let's go. I'll just make a quick jump through the first system. The first few systems in high sec will be basically warp from Stargate to Stargate. Once we jump through to the next system, I'm gonna give you another few tips on what you can do. So whenever you jump through a Stargate, your ship is gonna be cloaked and you're gonna get one free scan on your directional scanner. I think you're cloaked for a minute, approximately. So nobody can see you until you move in any way. This is a good way to see your surroundings. If there's anything around the gate, it can be suicide gankers in high sec as well that can target really fast. So using the cloak is a good way of scanning your surroundings and checking if it's free to move. And when you have a route in your autopilot, you will get the next Stargate up in your above your overview. Then you can just align to it. You can hit the cloaking device so you stay cloaked, and you're on route. And we keep going this way. So the first jumps are going to be basically Stargate to Stargate. I'm going to make it quick, just to pass these systems. And I always have an eye on local. Not so many people in local. So I can just keep moving. Here are the hotkeys. Here's your like an action bar. I like to keep my cloaking device on F1 because that's the thing I want to use first whenever jumping a gate or moving. I always watch the overview if there's anything around the gate. There's nothing currently. I can keep going. You can also set your directional scanner to about 60 degrees, and once you're in 14 AU you can use the directional scanner towards the Stargate to see if there's anything lurking around the Stargate. You're already in warp, so there's not much you can do, but you can at least prepare for your next action if there's some sort of camp going on. Alright, so we have about 5 jumps left through high sec, then we're gonna enter our first low-sec system. Just gonna keep on moving. As you can see, the Blockade Runner is very fast, even without the inertia stabilizers. It gets into warp really quick, and it has a very speedy warp.
Warp drive active.
As you can see, I'm approaching the Stargate in good speed, which makes, in my opinion, the Blockade Runner the best quick hauler from your null-sec base of operations to the Jita Trading Hub if you're not going to haul big amounts. And if you're going to haul big amounts, might as well just use a jump freighter and not a DST. All right, so we have a pirate insurgency. That means under maximum suppression. That means that this system usually is a 0.6, a high sec system. Now it's under maximum suppression of piracy. So here you can either look for another route or keep going. Since I'm recording this, I might as well keep going here just to see. So this is basically a null-sec system we're entering temporarily, a null-sec system. So I'm gonna enter here, and I'm gonna use the same tactics as if it was a null-sec system then. So let's go. We're jumping in. So the first thing I do, I see local. We got 17 people in local. There is an ibis on the gate. I'm holding the cloak, so just to check my bearings. It's 52 AU to the next Stargate. That means my directional scanner won't help me, although I can align. I can hit my nullifier, and once I do that, I get into warp.
Active.
Now, if there is a bubble over there, since I hit my nullifier before I began warping or started to warp, means that any bubble I will pass right through it. I won't get caught. Alright. Interesting. It said maximum suppression at stage 4. I'm pretty sure that maximum is stage 5 anyway. Alright. We have a lot of people here. It's also affected, but it's only stage 3, so it's still a high sec system. So I'm just gonna move as if it is a ordinary high sec system. So I'm just gonna warp to the next Stargate. Alright, so this is the last high sec system before we enter a low sec pipe. Gonna align to the Stargate and warp to the Stargate. I always use the warp to 0, even though when you use the jump button, you will warp to 0 and jump immediately. I like to have warp to 0 and jump when I'm at the Stargate, in case I change my mind. But if you click on jump, you can just press on Control plus space, then you will cancel your next task. Alright, so let's jump in. First low sec system. We have 2 people in local besides me. I hold my cloak. I use my D-scan. I got nothing on D-scan currently. That doesn't mean that there's nobody here. People can be cloaked up, but nothing as far as we can see. So I will jump straight to the Stargate and activate my cloaking device. Now I'm very close to an object, so this is also a risk. If you have objects nearby, you cannot use your cloak. Alright, so we're in warp. I'm warping straight to the gate because you cannot use bubbles in low sec. So, and you got the sentry guns by each Stargate, which makes it hard to gank unless there is a small gang by the gate, basically, that can DPS you down before they get killed by the sentry guns. Alright. The next system, there's nobody here, so I will be warping straight to the Stargate and jump. Alright, we got +1 in local. I use my D-scan. I didn't see a gate flash, so he probably came either from where I came from or he logged on at the station. And the same procedure, I hold cloak. There's no need to rush, because if you rush, you will make mistakes and eventually lose your ship. So I'll align, I'll cloak up. For this, I can use a ping, which I have around the Stargate. Alright, there's nobody by the Stargate. I'll proceed on to jump. There's another system where there is nobody here, so I'll warp from gate to gate in that case. Hauling is very boring, it truly is, but it's always good to have the skills to at least fly Blockade Runner, so you can do so you can haul smaller stuff on your own without having to ask anybody else. Alright, we have one guy in local. I'm holding cloak. I can see that he's in a Kikimora. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna warp to the ping. I'll enter cloak. The reason I warp to the ping is to not warp straight to the gate, because you don't know if this guy has friends on the other side of the gate. Maybe they're ready. This way you can buy yourself a little bit of time just to watch to see if there's any gate flash or similar. So there's nobody by the gate. I don't have that guy on D-scan anymore, which means that he's further than 14.3 AU away from me. So I'll proceed on jumping. And this system will be the last system, which is low sec, before I enter null sec. We got 3 people besides me in local, so I'll use the same thing. I'll warp to the ping, I'll enter cloak, and I'll use the D-scan on my way to the Stargate. So setting up bookmarks, pings around the Stargate on your ordinary route of moving stuff from your null-sec base of operations or null-sec home to Jita is essential. You need to have bookmarks, pings around the stargates, and save spots in the systems which you're using or traveling through. This is very important, and it will help you survive. Your chance of survival will be much higher. So there's nobody by the gate as far as I can see. Nobody on the scan. Now I don't know what's on the other side, so we will see. It's gonna be null-sec, which means bubbles are allowed, for example. It's gonna be a little bit harder to move through null-sec than it is through low-sec. But there's nobody in this system. So what I'm gonna do is, since it is null-sec, and I don't know who is on the other side of my next Stargate, I'll simply just warp to a ping. This way, since it's very far between the Stargates, I'm warping to a ping. So let's say if I warped straight to the Stargate and I'm in warp and suddenly 5 people show up through that gate. I get close to the gate, I get decloaked, and there's no way for me to um, stop that. I can jump through, but they're gonna jump after me. This way I can earn myself a little bit of time to check my surroundings, see if there is anybody jumping through or not. Nobody has, so I'm gonna keep on going. I got 9 more jumps to do. And in this system, there is only one guy. It's friendly to me. And here are the jump gates. And your alliance or corporation probably have their own jump gates. That's why you activate those in your route. The jump gates are viewable in your overview. And to be able to use these, you need access lists. So people that probably want to kill you cannot use this Stargate. So it's very safe to jump, but on the other side it could still be camped. As you can see, we got 2 people here in this system, so I'm gonna align, get into warp shortly. First I need to see the distance and check my D-scan. One of the neutrals have left the system, which means they jump through any of the 4 available stargates. And the important part with hauling is to not have, or to not be in a rush. So I'm going to warp to a Astrahus, which is close by to the Stargate. I will lose cloak, but I can now see the Stargate. I got a good view of the Stargate. And I will proceed on jumping. I will align to the next. Like I said, the next target will be a selected item when you are using the autopilot. So you can just click here to align, hit F1, which is in my case the cloaking device. Also this way there is a structure. I will warp to the structure before warping to the Stargate. It's the same principle as having a bookmark. It gives you time, and in case any hostiles would enter the system, you won't be in warp to them, which will give you time to think about your next action. Alright, so I will jump through. And during my warp, I see the two neutrals are here. They are on the gate. So what I'll be doing is I will be aligning, hit the cloak, warp within 50. And I'm away. I'm using the D-scan. I see that there is a Deimos. It's a Deimos that probably wants to kill me. And there's a curse as well, so it's very important that you use that minute of holding cloak if there's anything on the gate to see what ships they're flying, and that way predict what they will be using for abilities to catch you. And as always, most important thing is to not be in a rush. It takes time, but the point is not to lose your ship and thus losing ISK, your hard-earned ISK. So I'm gonna see my other Stargate. That's another neutral which entered the system. It's not the Deimos. He's in an Eris. And what does that tell me? Yes, the Eris is a interdictor. It can use bubbles to catch you. As you can see, he is by the Stargate. It's good that there's so many hostiles around. Then I can use the different tactics. So the interdictor jumped and the other guy jumped as well, but not through this system. You can always open up to see who they are. So this is the interdictor pilot. Use the information This is the Deimos pilot. They're in the same corporation, probably out here together. And they are probably on the other side of this gate. I'll take safety first. So the only thing I can do now is to wait. Like I said at the beginning, it's always good to have a pre-scout. That's what I'm usually doing. But now, for purpose of this video, I will be doing this solo because not everybody has several alts. So the Ares pilot jumped just a few minutes ago. They know I'm in this system. His friends probably saw that I'm in a Blockade Runner. And they will probably be waiting for a bit. What I can do in the meanwhile, I can warp to 100.
Active.
I'll decloak. I'll use my MVD, my micro warp drive. To set up a bookmark for future use. I prefer having the bookmarks over in any direction over the Stargate. I'll keep an eye on the Stargate as well. And when you're setting bookmarks, you have to set them at least 150 kilometers away from the Stargate, so you can warp to the Stargate from your bookmark. It takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. You're gonna be a hard Blockade Runner to catch. And usually people that like to catch haulers and miners, their patient isn't the best. So it's if you're more patient, you're not gonna get caught. If you're in a rush, the risk of getting caught will be significantly higher, so to speak. So I'll keep moving up. Now I'm building distance from the Stargate. Losing cap. So I have reason to believe that those guys are on the other side of that Stargate. I will jump shortly, just for the purpose of this video, to show you guys what you can do. One of the guys was a curse, flying a curse, which means he probably has great neutralizing abilities, which in itself is a big problem if you want to crash the gate by using your micro warp drive, excuse me, to jump back to the system you came from. Alright, so I've made the ping. reason I'm slow boating now is to get my cap back up. If the curse pilot is there, I'm gonna need every inch of cap I can have, or every energy. I'll stop my ship so I don't get too close. Alright, I'll make the jump now.
Active.
So there's a Deimos, an Ares, and a Curse, which is a very deadly combination. We're jumping through. One of them is here. It's not the Ares pilot. So I'll align, I'll hit the F1 button in my case. That is to activate the cloaking device. I got 4 jumps left. One of these guys are in this system here. And I don't have a ping here, but I have a structure which I can warp to.
Warp drive active.
And I have a good view of the Stargate. I'll align towards it. Using the D-scan, the directional scanner, to see if there's anything in my vicinity. There's nothing there, so I'll proceed on jumping.
Warp drive
The
active.
Ares pilot could be on the other side of this gate, and I'm going to show you if he is, what you can do to escape. You can either use your interdiction nullifier, or you can crash the gate by simply going back to the gate and right. So there's nobody by the gate, and whenever you jump through a Stargate, you get 1 free D-scan. So the Deimos pilot
Warp drive active.
entered the system, and this is not the Ares, but it's the same corporation. So out of that information, I know it's a 3-man gang flying to the ping. This means that the Ares pilot isn't that far away.
Warp drive active.
Here comes the Deimos. Deimos pilot jumped through. We have another neutral in system, which is the interdictor, the guy flying the Ares. Usually on my route, it isn't that many neutral pilots, but it's a good thing that there are so many neutrals around when I'm doing this video. So the Ares and the Curse are jumping through to the next system. And patience is key. I'm not in a rush. You should never do hauling if you're in a rush in any form. So here I can choose to stay on this spot. Sometimes they are very patient. Then you can either warp to a safe spot uh, and wait for a longer period of time, or you can dock up somewhere if you have the possibility to do so and take a short break and then come back. I will be jumping
Warp
through
drive active.
for the sake of this video. Jumping through, and let's see what we got in local. We have the two neutrals, the Deimos and the Curse are in this system. So they're not by the gate.
Warp drive active.
Alright, so what I can do is it's pretty far away to the... Alright, so the Deimos, by narrowing the angle of my directional scanner, I know he's here. And the Curse as well. The Deimos jumped through recently. This next system isn't in my planned route. But I have good knowledge of the systems around here, so I know that there is a alternative route to my destination. I won't be using this alternative. I don't think so. Or I might for the sake of this video. Let's do it. Let's jump through this
Warp
gate.
drive active.
So there's a chance that the Ares pilots, and they are all stacked up here on the other side, but there are a few tricks you can do and use to avoid getting killed. Well, fortunately, nobody's here. The last system,
Warp drive active.
I'm not gonna warp straight to the gate. I'm gonna use a bookmark.
Warp
I'll
drive
hit
active.
cloak. The Stargate is very close by, but it's a few seconds and they could jump in, and you don't want to be on the gate when they do so. You just need to
Warp drive
give
active.
yourself some time to plan your next action. So I'm going to warp to the last system, which is my destination. And we will see what's on the other side. It's clear.
Warp drive active.
And I'm also using bookmarks when warping to the station I want to enter. And the reason for that is that I want to be able to instantly dock, even though if you're using the docking button, you're gonna be fairly close to the system and within docking range, I prefer to use the bookmarks, especially when flying a transport ship, such as the crane. All right,
Docking
let's
request
dock up.
accepted.
All right, we have reached our destination. And the crane is safe. This is how I do when I'm using a blockade runner. So patience is key. Patience, bookmarks, and local chat is the most important thing. If we go back to the FID again, it's these two modules and eventually the micro warp drive, which I'll be using if you get caught in a blockade runner. These amplifiers, etc., won't help you. So the idea is to not get caught. And if you don't get caught, you don't need anything else but these two modules, basically, to have an amplifier and extender. It's good in case you have to crash the gate. It will give you a few more seconds to reach the gate, unless you get totally webbed. So nothing is proof, bulletproof, so to speak. So patience, you need patience and bookmarks, and you will not lose any blockade runners or any other ship for that matter, unless you're PvPing. Thanks for watching.